Okay.
All right, then.
Awesome.
So I'm going to start the audio in three, in two, and one. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion. We are joined today with our next guest today, Tamer Zaid. He joins us now, and later, Tamer, you'll hear from one of our greatest guests, or another great guest and another great supporter of Aaron's Opinion, who's in the audience here on Zoom, Latabo from South Africa. You'll hear from him in a few minutes later on at the end. I'm sure he'll have questions for you. I'll start the episode by asking only one question that I ask everyone else. So, who is Tamer Zaid? Your hour starts now. I'll ask questions as we walk through the conversation. Go ahead.
Thank you, Aaron. Hello, my name is Tamer Zayed. I am from Houston, Texas. So I originally from Palestine. This is a country from the Middle East. And I moved here back in 2002. And due to medical reasons. But I was born here, and my family did move back to Palestine because my dad is from there. And while we were living there as a child, and having you can say the war and the bad situation over there, I did start experiencing some bad medical situation where I couldn't focus. I couldn't be active as a child as usual, where I couldn't go and play outside and be with my friends, and be as usual. So my parents and everyone around me did notice that, and that was basically the start of the dark side of my diagnosis. I was, I wasn't active. I wasn't the child I wasn't playing soccer with my friends. Wasn't outside, playing, hide and seek, and my parents sat down and decided, what we need to do. And luckily, my dad was here in the U.S., and he told my mother to bring me to Houston. And from there, it was, a story where I cannot recall because I was in a state where I was unaware. I was in a coma. I was, wasn't conscious, and my mom and my younger sister came with me and flew here to Houston, and my dad took me to MD Anderson Hospital in Houston, in the medical center. and that's where I fell in a coma for a month and a half. Um, you know, it was hard times. I heard from my parents and my extended family. Um, I was unconscious. I was breathing, but I was unconscious for the longest time ever. And it was where you know, um, it was hard for everyone around me realizing, you know, such a young kid can such a thing happen to him and be in this situation. So, one day I was told that my dad was with me in the room and my mom went home to rest. Um, and what happened was I suddenly mumbled. I suddenly mumbled my friend's name, Body, and um, my dad was with me in the room, and he couldn't believe it. Um, and from that time, my dad knew that you um, you know there is a miracle, and one day I would recover. And after few months, I woke up and such you know just like a baby, I had to relearn everything from scratch, how to do everything over, how to eat, how to dress, how to um, basically do everything. But the one thing that I did not realize was that my vision was gone. And that was something that I, for the longest time ever, did not realize. And when I realized that I was blind, um, it was hard to get used to, or basically adjust to. And um, it was a time where I had to say to myself, I have to take it day by day um, and find, solutions to the problems I'm facing and just go with the flow. And that's just what I did. And um, and basically that's what I did with my parents, my family, um, and so on. Um, so from that time on, I did get adjusted to my blindness. Um, I did decide to go on to school, which I, you know, skipped fourth grade because of my diagnosis with leukemia, and all my complications, going through blindness and so on. But I did start fifth grade um, in my local elementary school, and that's when I was introduced to Braille, where I was um, at first a bit hesitant to learn because when I was a kid, in my school back home in Palestine, we had, you know, basically some presentations from some blind students, and in a way, I did not want to be one of those people, and um, here I am on the other side, um, facing that same um, situation. Um, but I had to realize that if I don't pursue such, I would not be um, successful. I would not be the person I wanted to be in the future. Um, and from there, I did accept that Braille was the way that I should, um, pursue, or the way I should, build my portfolio in order for me to be successful in my educational journey. So I learned how to read Braille, grade 1, grade 2, then use the Brailler. Then, when I went to middle school and high school, I was given a note taker where I was, using Braille, but with a Braille computer. And that's where I, was um, basically opened to the technology, and um, basically that's where I got introduced to basically, you know, all the advances in technology, and being hopeful that the future is clear. And from that time, I was successful in, in completing my work on time in high school, showing my teachers that I'm, punctual, submitting assignments, um, getting good grades, um, getting good grades on tests, and so far. And so from that time on, I, you know, uh, did graduate high school, and from there, um, I told myself, what's the next step in my career journey? Do I go and work? Do I pursue college? Um, should I do what my sister and brother did? Both are successful. Both, went to the university where they studied biomedical engineering, where they studied pharmacy. Um, and from that time, I wondered if that would be, a good idea. Um, and And I told myself maybe that's not a good time to do it. So I spoke to my vocational counselor at TWC, Texas Commission for the Blind, and I decided to go to Frisco Rehab Center, where I would go and gain skills to be successful in my career journey. That's where I went and learned, cane travel, how learned, how to use JAWS with the computer, um, learned technology as well. That's where I was introduced to the iPhone back in 2011. And from that time, I realized that, I had, the short-term memory, and that was affecting my the way I was navigating and traveling. And it did affect my communication in a way. It did affect me, affect my ability to in a way travel where I needed to go and know where I'm going. At the time, I did not know why, because I was still new to that issue. All of that was unknown. So I, finished my training at Chris Cole. In a way, it wasn't very successful. I stayed there for 11 months. They did they did state that I was successful at finishing my program, but in a way, I felt that I was not, not up to the standards. And at the time, I did not know why. It was still unclear. And from that time, I went back to Houston, and I I spoke to my TWC counselor back in Houston to see what I can do, and I went to Alvin Community College to start my degree in business management. And that's where I started, learning about how to work with my disability and um, and um, and see like what accommodations they can provide me. So in a way, when I was at Crystal, all of that was unknown. But when I went to say the community college, they did, you know, it, they did basically accommodate me, or they did know how to accommodate me and know how to, you know, give me like accommodations on tests, or um, say more time on assignments, or have a reader, or So I learned how to be a better advocate, a better voice my opinions on things um, that I should talk about, and know when I should talk about them. Um, and from there, you know, I was successful at finishing my degree at Alvin Community College, and I showed them that I can, be successful. But because of the short-term memory, um, it does bring um, issues where it shows like other people that I'm not maybe responsible, or I'm not up to the standard. But that wasn't really a problem in the college setting. Um, so when I finished my community college uh, experience, I did move on to the university. I went to University of Houston Clear Lake, which was basically 15 minutes away from my home, um, which was a plus. In one way, I did like it. In another way, I did not, because I was close to home. That was the bad part. And the good part is, um, I did not feel it was the college experience that I wanted. Um, but the what I really struggled at that um, campus, or any campuses um, at that level, would be um, not having the one-on-one instruction. Um, I felt as if I had to rely a lot on the tutoring center, where I had to complete assignments or projects with um, tutors, or most of the time it would be my dad helping me with um, my algebra, or my um, advanced finite courses, um, or say my chemistry labs. Um, in a way, they were visual. I did understand them because I had that visual aspect from my childhood, but they were extremely difficult because um, they were on blackboards. They were um, on a platform that um, made me um, overwhelmed, made me um, think more than my capacity. And I was taking 4 courses at once. Um, it was a time where I was, um, you know, probably not happy. Um, a time where I made everyone around me feel agitated. Um, and I felt as if at the time I did not realize that. Um, I did not realize that um, I was causing, all those trouble because I had the slow processing speed. Um, but I was able to um, go through college from my help um, of my family, um, the tutors at um, the learning center, and um, that's basically how I was able to um, you can say trick the system. Um, but um, after 3 years of me graduating and realizing that I cannot get a job, it's a big mistake. Um, Realizing I went through all that um, and choosing a degree plan that did not work for me, um, and making all the people around me work for me. And um, that wasn't the choice I should have done. And I want to say this reason is because of my cognitive overload. It's funny I say that. I haven't gotten diagnosed for that. I've done so many searches online. I've done so many research about the condition. I've watched my um, um, I basically watched myself and read about the condition, which tells me that I do have it. But it's funny that I cannot get an appointment. I've been waiting probably a year and a half, and I haven't gotten an appointment yet to see, um, a psychologist or a specialist that can diagnose me. Um, I have I did request an appointment, but I'm still in a pending status. Um, and I believe this is coming from the experience or the trauma that I endured as a child, from the leukemia, or the um, you know the whole experience that I went through, and made me be where I'm at right now. Um, and seeing where I'm at right now, I feel as if I'm unfortunate. Um, I'm always hopeful. I'm always determined. Always loving people. But I always think about how I can, be a better person. But I always think about, you know, what I could have done to make this better, but there's no way. Um, but I always try to be in the present moment, be mindful, and I always try to exercise. That's what keeps me going, keeps me motivated, keeps me um, want to live and want to do good to the world. Um, Another thing I want to talk about is um, the experience I endured working for, you can say, the best company in the world. I know they were the number one company at one time. Um, um, $3 trillion, I believe. Um, However, talking about them in a way where, um, as an employee for them, um, it was um, the most difficult experience ever. I was faced with the most unfortunate situation. I started as a specialist at their Apple Store location in Friendswood, Texas. That was 10 minutes away from my home here in Friendswood. Um, so basically, what happened was um, I worked in this position for 2 years. Um, it's a sales position, so I had to be, a face-to-face um, employee, where I had to talk about products, Apple products, talk about what those products do, how customers can use them, and be influenced by using them, how they can use them with other Apple products and use them with other accessories that the Apple store sells. Um, and because I failed at you know providing that experience to the customer over and over, um, you know, it was you know unfortunate where I was put on a performance review. Um, and guess why that was? It wasn't because of my blindness. It was because of my slow processing speed. And at that time, I did not know that. I was totally unaware. I did not know I had that condition. I did not know that I had um, a cognitive overload. Um, I still do not know if I have that to this day even. And what happened was, um, you know, I had those problems for during those 2 years over and over, and um, at the end, I was deemed to be not fit for the position, and they had to speak to HR, and we decided that um, if I don't resign, I would be fired. So I had to resign. Um, so from that time, I was unclear why I was resigned. Um, so, after 10 months, I saw an ad somewhere for another position for Apple, but this time it was a sales position inside a Best Buy. I was a fan shopping at Best Buy, buying all their, you know, TVs, all their speakers, and so on. Um, and it was a position for a Apple sales rep in their counter in Best Buy. So, I took the pledge to apply, and I was interviewed. I had no problems with the interview, thank God. And what happened was I began my employment with them, and it was a part-time position as well. I expressed to them that, for the longest time ever, I wanted to get full-time. That never happened either. What happened was I tried my best to do you know, my absolute best in that position, which I did. Um, but in the same time, there were some things that were lacking in accessibility. There were displays that are inaccessible for me. There were the device that I was using was not accessible, where I was given apps that were unlabeled correctly. Feedback was given, no feedback um, provided to me. So that was, gosh, a hassle to deal with. Because I was trying to get all those in place. They always told me that you cannot be off of the floor. You have to be always on the floor. But how can deal with tickets, deal with tickets, like tickets as in like technical difficulties with apps, and you're on the floor? That doesn't make sense to me, and it shouldn't make sense to anyone. And that I was doing that on the device they gave me, and it wasn't accessible either. I had to like multitask and do the impossible to make it work, and that was taking time and effort. And because of that, they thought that I was not doing my work. Um, let's see what else. There were times where I had to do some, learnings on the device, and it took time because, again, there are issues with accessibility, and time and again, I gave feedback, and that feedback is not taken, and those issues are not resolved. And same with the first employment had those issues as well, but they never resolved any, and they just, had you, hanging, had you like as if you're not, um, you're not like, who are you? Or we don't care about you. And I did my best to show them that I can do the work, but because I'm not able to do the 110%, I just couldn't follow through. I couldn't show them that I am, responsible. Um, you know, in a way, I showed them that I wanted to do the work, but because of my um, slow processing, in a way, it did hinder me um, with my mental health, with my um, with me getting maybe frustrated, um, and not knowing what to say at the right time. I mean, it's not like I said anything wrong, but um, I did not. I was not in the, in the present moment. I was not mindful. Um, and that position, because I was a part-time specialist in both um, times, their policy of taking time off is horrible. If you took time off, it's unpaid. And, I took time off for 2 months, and that was unpaid. And they told me that I can get a doctor's note to let them know that, um, if I took time off, I would get paid. And going through their third party provider, their platform is super inaccessible. Submitting time off sheets. It was the worst time of my life. It wasn't because I was under pressure, because I was not together, I couldn't do it. And that's where I told them I cannot continue. During that time, my manager was not able to communicate with me because I was on time off, and um, going through communicating with that third party was unfortunate because they know nothing about how to work with me dealing with the inaccessible documents. And what happened was I just told them I'm not continuing, and I just left. So my time at Apple was that, beside my blindness, beside my slow processing speed, proper accommodations were not put in place. And it's not what everybody thinks, which is unfortunate. When I started, I was given a module where they spoke about everything that talks about accessibility, about diversity, about how they care about the environment, how they care about um, um, social impact. Um, but seeing what they have done to me is really a surprise. Knowing that an invisible disability such as a slow processing speed um, can get a person like me out of a job. Um, and um, um, I did try to get EEOC involved, but it seems as if um, they do not understand um, the my cognitive overload piece of it. Because of that, and because of not providing the proper documentation, my case was closed, which was unfortunate as well. Um, let's see what else.
Well, do you mind if I jump in for a bit?
Correct. You can, yes.
Do you know that you've done a magnificent job and that you've been speaking for almost an hour? Do you know that?
No,
Um, yeah,
no.
yeah. Um, here's what I'm going to say, and here's, I guess, what I want to know. Your life has clearly been fraught with many a challenge.
Hmm.
It's very clear to me of that.
Yep,
It's also very clear to me that apparently you overcome a lot. You're
I
very good at
have.
you're very good at overcoming challenges, you know.
Correct. It's
The thing.
overcoming.
Mm-hmm.
It's overcoming and not realizing what I need to do to overcome them. I just do it automatically.
The couple comments I want to make. Your experience in your university sounded very familiar to my experience, and that is not unusual to have that experience. I was never happy at my
Yes.
college. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm quite frankly, most people are not too thrilled with it. Okay. It's just how that is. So
Yep.
your experience, although it was taxing, and although you might have had some weird feelings and
Hmm.
weird, sensations throughout the experience, I can tell you that, yeah, you really are not alone. I'm not at all diminishing what you have told us, but I am telling you that
Hmm.
what you have told us is what most people would tell anyone, is that
Yes.
college is kind of, it's kind of a handful, and I do have some harsh feelings about certain things that went on in my past.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my advice is to overcome, is just to try to overcome. And the other thing that's extremely
Yes.
difficult,
Yes.
and the other thing that's extremely difficult to do, is to figure out what things you have control over, and to realize that
Hmm.
there are going to be everybody has a past, and everybody has a couple little things that were really not good in their life that happened, that needed to, and that could have, and the coulda woulda,
Hmm.
and that we all are like that. And
Right.
the only thing to do is to try to find something that you're good at. Like I said,
Correct.
the fact that you have spoken for such a long time tells me that you're supposed to be a podcaster or a talk show host, right?
Yes.
I think you would be magnificent in that. I really do. Speaking
Mm,
in both English and your native Arabic,
yes.
to be able to interview other people who have gone through TBIs and things like that. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing that is really touching about your character as a person that really shows that really proves why you're a great worker is after you basically, I mean, by the way, I'm not teasing the point when I say this,
Mm-hmm.
but basically it's pretty strange for me to hear someone say, well, I got fired from Apple, and then I went home, and then the next morning I applied for Apple.
Mm-hmm.
Most people wouldn't do
No,
that.
I mean, I wanna prove to them that they did something wrong,
Well,
and
they Tamer, they may have. I'm not disagreeing with you.
mm-hmm.
They might
Mm-hmm.
have. Who knows?
Right.
Or I'm just giving you food for thought. I'm not saying it's true. It's an opinion channel after
Mm-hmm.
all.
Right.
Or that job was never, I'm not saying it was this, but I'm saying it's a possibility that perhaps working for Apple, that wasn't you. That was not an appropriate fit for you in the first place. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had to learn that about certain things that have or haven't happened to me. So sometimes we get into this rut of thinking, well, it's all personal. It's this entire,
Mm-hmm.
it's this huge conspiracy theory. And
Yeah.
as our friend in the audience, go ahead and unmute Latabo. As as Latabo will
Mm-hmm.
tell you, if anyone, there he is, if anyone believes in conspiracy theories, it's Aaron's opinion. I have a conspiracy for every
Mm-hmm.
opinion I have. I have a conspiracy theory to back it up. But the fact is
Yeah.
this:
Yeah.
the fact is
Mm-hmm.
this, man. There are just going to be some things that are simply not suitable and are not going to work out. And then you need to say, well, since that didn't work, I need to find an appropriate place
Mm-hmm.
in the world, and I need to use my time
Mm-hmm.
effectively, because the other trick is there's only so many more chances in our lives where we're able to get it right. So you have to think, well, if it didn't work, fine, but let me try to make it right going forward. And that's the
Okay.
only thing any successful person like us would do. That's the only
Yes.
successful advice I can give. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
that you were saying last night off air when we were talking is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely publish your autobiography. And after the show, a little later, I'll definitely send you over to someone who would be more than happy to give their knowledge on successfully, properly, and legally publishing a book that's yours and yours to make a profit from. But we'll definitely set it up for you, Tamer. All right.
Awesome.
After Latabo's been listening to this for over and basically an hour, I'm sure he's got a question. Go ahead.
Um, just want to
Mm-hmm.
say good afternoon to you guys, both of you.
Hello. Hello.
Um, yeah, so actually, as Aaron said, obviously, my name is Tamer from South Africa, Pretoria, to be specific, capital city. So, what I want to know is, when you work for Apple, like, what was the expectation that they gave you?
Yeah, that's a good
Um.
question. You'd be perfect. Yeah.
So I mean, the expectation was to, just work with each customer,
Mhm.
and you know how do I explain this? So like probe and ask each customer
Mm.
on what they need.
True.
Probing means to unravel. Um, it's a way to unravel, um, what they need in a way.
Mm.
Does it make sense?
Mm.
Like ask
It does.
probing questions to get to the solution. Does it make
True.
sense?
Okay. It does. It does make sense.
Yes. And for the longest time ever, I did not get that concept.
Yeah, of course.
I struggled.
Mm.
So I was not able to understand how to ask those
Mm.
questions. And because of
Mhm.
that, I was never, able to come up with those questions to ask
Mm.
the customers. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's why you know, I always told my managers I want to be, in landing zone in the back, or I want to do something else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say, I would say in estimation, I would say that that particular position,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying this like this is gonna sound harsh.
No, you're right. You're right.
But this is gonna sound
It's
harsh. But here's the point.
it. Mhm.
Apple, Tamer, Apple may have wanted, in the retrospect of it all, since you don't work for them anymore, it's not really a big deal that I'm
Mhm.
saying this. What
Yeah.
Apple may do in the future, hopefully with other people, is hopefully someone within the management of that agency looked into your case or secretly,
Yeah.
discreetly heard about it and realized,
Right.
wait a minute, if someone in the future comes up to us and they say, hi, I have a TBI and I still want to help your
Mhm.
company.
Correct.
Again, this sounds really mean. The last
Mhm.
place they should put the person is on the floor of an Apple store. And I mean that with
Correct.
the greatest sense of support.
No, I
That was
agree. I
not,
agree.
that was completely not your fault. And it really wasn't
Mhm.
Apple's fault because they didn't, quite frankly, I appreciate the fact I salute the fact that Apple gave you that chance to try. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's even stronger to put people where they belong and say, no, Tamer,
So,
that's not an
Right.
appropriate job for you, but we're going to have you working from home in a peaceful office at home, and you can do at home work, still helping the
Yep.
company in something. Do not begin
I've,
to tell me that there are not thousands of jobs that are done at Apple. That store representative, that's only
mhm.
one of probably hundreds of thousands of
Yeah.
job descriptions that company needs fulfilled. You could have had a job there for sure. There was definitely something for you to do. It's just
No, I mean,
the unfortunate part is that you were thrust into a job that you shouldn't have been given, and
right.
which was just not appropriate. So I think the greater point for me that I would stress is, yeah, it wasn't the accessibility, that wasn't right. But what was also really wrong is that they put you into that position in the first place.
Correct.
Not saying
Correct.
it about you. That wasn't right. That's just not a right way to treat
Mhm.
someone. Now,
Correct.
that's my opinion of that. I can tell you though that I think it's very hard for these companies to know, who knows what someone will or won't do for a company just because they apply there and say that they can work there. The problem
Mhm.
is, until the person starts working there, nobody really knows.
But I can tell you what a
Mm-hmm.
better position in the Apple Store it would be. Probably working in the backstage,
Mm-hmm.
like you know, uh, canning boxes, or trying to think what else they do. Answering the phone.
Right. Right.
They should have thought
That
of
would
that,
be
but they never.
that would be a reasonable accommodation,
Correct.
and that would be your least
Mhm.
restrictive environment, right? In other
I
words,
know. I know.
that would be an appropriate place for you. You know,
Mhm.
it's important to learn from that now. And hey, look, now you realized, well, okay, that didn't work. But anyway,
Yeah.
moving forward, no hurt
Mhm.
feelings about Apple. We still love them. I still love Apple. Apple is the best for Apple Watches and iMacs and iPhones, and
So
they are still the best. And
can I reveal a secret?
I suppose
I moved from Apple.
I know
I'm
you told
using
me.
I'm using everything Google now.
I know.
wow. So which means you're using the what you call the devices that Google has now.
Yeah, Pixel phone, Pixel watch,
Uh-huh.
Pixel
Uh-huh.
bud.
Do you think,
Yeah.
wait a minute, hold on, I have a question. Do you think there's something for you to do at Google?
Not just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
Oh my
because
goodness.
who knows why I'm asking that, but maybe I secretly know someone that you should connect with.
Oh,
Who,
cool. Okay.
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um Yeah, that is all very interesting. So at any rate, um, you know, I understand that you want to get your podcast going, and how is that whole concept going of you getting your podcast started, by the
I
way?
think it's going good. I'm just collecting all my so podcast not just yet, but my book.
Mhm.
I'm
Right,
collecting all my articles right now,
right.
and seeing how I can organize it, and go from there,
Hmm.
to get my manuscript. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well,
Mm,
like I said, later today, after the show, I'm gonna try to put you in touch with at least one person who would be two really good people for you to connect with, um, and things like that. But yeah, I mean, if someone, if you can ask me now only one more question,
okay.
really make me sweat to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster. What do you want to know about me?
A podcaster. I mean, as a podcaster, do you listen to podcasts or do you just uh, create podcasts?
I am an avid listener. I listen to all the great podcasts around the circuit. In fact, that's how I
Do
have come.
you
Hmm.
do you recommend any?
Oh, so many great ones. So many great ones. I mean, there's so many great podcasts out there. I
So
love, yeah. Hmm.
tech related or non-tech? I'm just curious.
Well, I'll tell you who I listen to most of the time. Most of the time, I
Okay.
listen to all the great, the greatest podcasts. Stuff you should know. I love what they do.
Okay.
That's a great one. I love those guys. Stuff you should know.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Lex Fridman, huge Lex
Okay.
Fridman fan.
Yes.
Jordan
Yes.
Harbinger, yeah, you've probably heard of the Lex Fridman guy. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Jordan Harbinger is another great one. Love his show. Joe Rogan, love his show.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. Yes. Yes.
Joe Rogan.
Man,
Oh my goodness.
I used to use a news aggregator called Mailbrew.
Hmm.
That's how I used to like consume news. But I
Right.
don't know what happened to that service. I think it went
Yeah.
out of business.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. All
it
right.
was
Well,
where yeah. So yeah, that's it. Okay.
good. Good, good. Well, that's all wonderful. That's a great question. So moving forward now, we're here to help at Aaron's Opinion. So we're going to try to give you some connections, give you some help. As far as help, or as far as Tamer Zaid goes, if someone wants to get in touch with a Tamer Zaid, how would they go about doing that?
Let's see. You can email me at tamerm.zaid@gmail. Um, I do have a Facebook, but I'm not sure what my Facebook. Oh my gosh, I should know
It's
that.
it's okay. No worries.
Okay.
So we'll get that information a little later, and no worries. You guys can
Right. Right.
click the link in the
Mhm.
description. Yes,
Okay. I can send
that
you
is
that
fine.
information.
There you go. Okay, like that. Okay, there you go. Yeah, once you send it, you'll know what to send. There you go.
Right. Right.
In
Right.
fact, like I tell people, if you can write a 5 sentence, actually, Tamer, if you can write me a paragraph telling me about your life and what you've been through, that would be a
Right.
very good description. So please do write a description. Usually, I say that off air after after we finish a conversation, but it just fits in so nicely. Yeah, please do
Okay.
write a description, and that is what we'll describe and then you can put all your links at the bottom. All right.
Okay. Okay.
Sounds good, man. You did an amazing job. That was an amazing recording. I just want to say we'll
Awesome.
catch up. We'll and Latabo, our great friend, great guest, great fan from South Africa, also agrees that was a great one. All right, guys. All
Yeah.
right then. Cool.
Awesome.
Well, we'll catch up. You and I, Tamer, we'll catch up over on Messenger. I'll send you the WhatsApp, and
Okay.
let's hop onto WhatsApp. I'll send you a link for that. All right,
Yeah.
Latabo.
Sounds good.
Okay, Latabo. How do I end the audio? Go ahead.
Help one person today, help a million tomorrow.
If you're still with us on YouTube, Thank you so much for joining us today on YouTube. Don't forget to like it if you like it. As Dustin Lindbergh will tell you, don't forget to dislike it because we have a joke about that. That moves it up in the algorithm. Don't forget to yeah, it's a weird joke. It's a weird joke. It's a weird. You will learn that there's some very strange Aaron's opinion jokes. You barely know me. So there's some. We have some culture over here. It's a little unusual. It's a little bit of it's interesting. Subscribe, comment below on the video. Comment below on the video because that does help us to move forward in things. And if you listen to podcasts, don't forget, as I like to say, it would really help if you could give us a rate and a review. That would help us to reach the next blind person. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the great discussion today with Tamer Zaid. I'm sure he'll be back anytime he likes. As I like to say, take care. Take care, everyone. Stay safe out there. Have a good day, and we'll see you bright and early next time, whenever that is. Take care.